That's got a long tail to it.
Yeah, right. I was thinking that too. I'm like, am I pushing the button? I don't know. Well, welcome everybody to Slam Nation Wrestling on the New York Nerd Show. I would come to you every Tuesday at 8 p.m. as you can see right there. All that Pat joined in the studio as always by the one, the only, the master of Funko Pop, Lord Cash. I don't know what the hell I was trying to say. Lord Cash, how are you today?
Yes, I am Cord Lash.
Exactly. Hashtag
mouth like wrestlers do. Like they'll take their middle name and that'll be their first name, and their last name becomes their middle name. You know,
it's like Daniel Bryan was from Bryan Danielson, all that stuff.
Exactly. You know, and Shawn Michaels' real name is not Shawn Sunda's middle name.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Michael Sean Hickenbottom. So you just flip
Hickenbottom.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want that name as their wrestling name, Hickenbottom?
I say he would probably make a good oh man, the tag team just walked out of my brain.
Well, they had like the well, I don't know. I'm trying to think what's like
the Country Boys, the two Country Boys.
Oh, like the Godwins?
Yeah, that, you know, they would have taken a Hickenbottom, that's for sure.
I was thinking like Rikishi. That's what I was thinking with a Hickenbottom.
maybe Naomi will marry into a Hickenbottom.
Something like that, yes.
Just because she likes to do the little, or maybe Asuka because she does a little booty bounce.
They both do, actually. They're both the master of the booty bounce. Did you see on Raw? We'll talk about that. But when she did her running hip attack to Rhea Ripley, they showed it in slow motion, and it was like so bad. Sometimes those moves you think are like just comedy moves, and then you actually see them hit, and it's like being hit with a freight train.
Yeah, you know, they that's where, you know, people were like, you know, yes, wrestling storylines are fake, you know, but a lot of the stuff that they do inside the ring and outside is very much real. They put their bodies on the line. So yes, I think it was, I almost want to say it was Shawn Michaels' dad. It was like, you know, active soap operas or something, like he calls wrestling, at least to the WWE version of just, you know, interactive wrestling, or so interactive soap opera or something like that.
Right, yeah. Exactly. There's more wrestlers that get injured than like most professional sports combined, something like that. I've seen that kind of statistic as well. They don't wear pads.
Exactly. So, but this is the Slam Nation, where we talk about wrestling and all the stuff that's fortituded. That's, I don't know, that was a big word. I really don't know if I used it correctly.
Testicular fortitude, like Mick Foley used to always say.
Exactly. I don't know. They just the word felt like it was going to work, but then I said it and I was like, I don't know if that was right. But we're just going to keep trucking along.
I know. I feel like all these things are flying past us, and eventually we have to grab one and bring it down to center.
Like, oh, that wasn't right. Release it back.
Right. So WWE releases last week.
Yeah. How'd that work?
I don't know. We had a bunch of men and women that got released by the company last week. It occurred like right after we finished our AEW Slam Nation, I believe. But we had guys from, you know, Lana wasn't too much of a surprise, or kind of was. But Braun Strowman was a big name out of that.
Yeah.
You know, what were some of your like big takeaways? I mean, again, Braun Strowman's like the most, you know, glaring one, being a former WWE Universal Champion. Just recently in the main event picture. What were your thoughts about Braun getting released? The Strowman Express going down another lane.
It was very much unexpected. I was not like thinking that they were going to be releasing anybody that soon. You know, like I said, Braun Strowman definitely was a big surprise. I did feel that Lana was a surprise. Like kind of like all of them that got released, you know, for those that may not be aware, you know, Braun Strowman was the big one. Lana, Ruby Riott of the Riott Squad, she got released, as well as the one that kind of like even bigger was Aleister Black. Like they were doing this whole push with him of coming back into the ring, doing this whole story time with Aleister Black, and then like he even attacked Kevin Owens, right?
Big E.
Big E. And I'm like, okay, then he just got released. I'm like, what was all of that, time and energy and putting those promos together just to release him? I'm like, I don't understand the whole process behind it.
Same thing, like you were mentioning, the two women. I mean, Lana and Ruby Riott had just respectively fought on SmackDown and Raw in tag matches. And by getting rid of those two, you eliminate two of the few women's tag teams, in the company. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is going to open up the door for, Liv Morgan to get that extra push towards the singles competitors, or if they're going to try slapping her with another tag group. Was because Lana was teamed with Naomi.
Yep.
And so are they both on SmackDown?
No, they're not. One's on Raw and one's on Smack. They're alternate.
So they even slap those two together, just some sort of storyline.
Right.
Hey, you got a bandit, I got a bandit. Let's do this together.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about this too, but so it's a couple of things. One is that they are doing another draft, but it's going to be happening after SummerSlam. So you got a full 2.5 months before we get there to have these two basically almost floundering in the singles division. Because when Lana, we could kind of almost get into it because we'll talk about some of these other things, but the reality is one of the first matches on SmackDown was Liv Morgan, the newly single Liv Morgan, coming out to fight Carmella.
Yeah.
So Lord Cash, that was my initial thought. I mean, I'm like, oh, okay, here's Liv Morgan's chance to stand out on her own. And after about a minute and a half, Liv Morgan was tapping out to the code of silence and kind of not standing out on her own. And the continuing the push for Carmella to get even bigger because now she's making, Mark Hamilton do what did they say, the sexiest woman in the world or whatever as her
beautiful.
What is it?
Most beautiful woman in WWE or something of that caliber.
Right. So I don't know. There may be perhaps another round of cuts, and the Riot Squad might be completely kiboshed. I mean, I don't know what the plan is for them.
Which is weird because, I think Liv Morgan does it exceptionally well inside the ring. She's got the look. She's got the the charisma. I know you got to go over that whole package. How well does she do on the mic for at least live events? The promo that she kind of cut beforehand, I thought was exceptionally well.
Yeah,
it's you're 7 at best. But when I throw my boot in your face, you're going to be a 10, but no one's going to be looking at you. They're going to be looking at me. I'm I felt like that was a very well put together promo to move her forward. And again, she got squashed, and I'm just what's going on here?
Right. And you always wonder too, because why these people get released, right? It's not often in ring or what's in front of the camera. It's not often that. Sometimes it's because they do or say the wrong thing in the back. Sometimes they don't stand up for themselves. And sometimes in the case of Braun Strowman, I had heard, again, we don't know Braun Strowman exactly. He had a pretty lucrative contract. Perhaps Ruby Riott and Lana had an expensive contract. I know there was a period of time for Lana and Rusev where they were in heavy contract negotiations with the company. They were pretty much a package deal. And she stayed, and Rusev went to AEW, became Miro. So it's possible she got a high-end contract, and they're just kind of trying to get rid of some of that.
Now, do you think that at least with Lana, that there might be some retaliation for him going over there? So it's kind of cutting, their losses.
I did think that was going to happen at first because when Miro left and he went to AEW, very shortly around that point was when they did the whole Lana goes through a table versus Nia Jax thing.
Right.
So that's what I thought. It was just because that was 3 months of just that, and she looked like an idiot. Now, over the past 2 months, she's finally actually looked,
decent.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a word, and she's got an entrance with her tag team partner. They have the matching gear, and now they're just starting to get on the roll. And then they're like, nope. And And maybe that's what they were trying to do, which is completely spiteful. If they were just trying to get her to a point where she felt confident and then saying, oh, by the way, there's the door. But it's possible. I wouldn't put it past anybody.
Right. Because is Renee Young still with WWE, or has she moved over?
She isn't. I do not. Okay, she's not with AEW. I know that. I do not believe she's with WWE either. I believe that she is with Fox.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that's why she covers. She does cover some things with both companies.
Right.
She has her own podcast, I know, because she has interviewed people from both companies as well. I mean, right now she's out because she, you know, from whatever she's doing because she's pregnant.
Right.
And on AEW World, Moxley got written off of TV by the Young Bucks to basically excuse him to be able to take some time off.
Right.
But yeah, there's like so much going on right now. And like I said, those releases last week were so shocking. I mean, there's always a couple that are not. I can't remember the full list, but there was like one or two I was like, all right. But yeah, those top ones were very surprising, you know, and it's like, and then you still have guys that have been in the company forever that obviously, you know, are good. Like, it's funny. There was a period of time where, do you remember JTG?
Yeah.
From Crime Time?
Yeah.
He had not been on TV for almost 3 years. And it was a running joke that basically if JTG's phone rang, he just didn't pick it up because they kept calling him to release him. And then finally he gets released and we're just kind of like, damn, they caught him. They must have just like went to his house.
Buddy Murphy was one of the other ones that got released. And someone from NXT, Santana Garrett.
Yeah. I didn't know she was still in the company. I know her. She was in a couple of the tournaments. She wore like a bandana. Very capable in the ring, but I didn't know she was even signed to a deal at that point. And Buddy Murphy, it's unfortunate because he had a really good feud going with the Mysterios and Seth Rollins last year. He was a big player in that for the better part of 4 to 5 months. Vanished. Popped up a couple times recently, but it was pretty clear that they didn't have anything in the cards for him. But he's a guy that would really flourish in a place like AEW because of the style he has. But I'm anticipating that most of these guys, if they're smart, are either going to stay out of the business for a bit or they're going to go to Impact. Because if anything, Impact has a lot of needs for wrestlers. AEW is getting a little flooded. They're going to get they're a little bit heavy.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, Braun Strowman, I'm sure with his contract, he doesn't need to do anything. Let's go do acting at this point.
Yeah. Just spend some time at home. I'm sure if they released him, I'm sure they had to pay out his contract or something like that.
Yeah, I do believe that they're all paid, you know, for like the next, because they have the 90-day no compete clauses, and I am pretty sure they get paid for those 90 days at the minimum.
So now, that's at least good for them, at least.
Right. But a big, you know, definitely a big week in wrestling, for sure. Next up, we basically had the continuation of the Sasha Banks. Yeah, right, Sasha Banks. Actually, Sasha, I'm going to say one thing out real quick. What a terrible picture. I don't know if you saw the photo of the SummerSlam banner, Lord Cash.
Yes, I had it, and I can actually, if you give me a second.
Yeah, no problem. We'll as you're pulling that up, I'll just talk about this particular promo. Just continuing the idea that Bianca Belair does not like to be laughed at. Very basic feud telling. You know, and I think they're trying to force a storyline into this, very similar to the Shane McMahon, Braun Strowman bullying standpoint.
Right.
You know, it's not terrible, but it's not great. I think that they could just simply go with the idea that, you know, the finish in the last pay-per-view match was like sloppy and, you know, Bayley just wanted to get a revenge and a true winner. But instead they're going with this like really stupid over the top I'm laughing at you, which even ended as you saw in that last image of like all the Thunderdome screens turned to Bayley's face laughing. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the program. I'm looking forward to their match. But what are your thoughts, Lord Cash, on how this particular feud has developed over the last 2 weeks?
As far as storyline goes, I don't mind it too much, just because they're at least kind of playing with certain aspect angle, like it's doing the whole 360, taking over the screens. I kind of like I don't mind. It's a little bit different. I know it's not like it's never been done, but um, it just really drills home the heel persona that Bailey is embodying right now. That she's been running for 2-3 years now, if not longer. And she's been doing really well at it. So it's like having her go from heel back to face is something that is going to be very hard for her to do because she's been so good at the heel.
Yeah, she definitely I feel over delivers in this role. Because I still remember being like very concerned, when they first turned Bailey heel, but she's almost debatably been better in this role. Their match on the 20th, it's going to deliver, and then hopefully it's a more clean finish. I anticipate Bianca Belair is going to hold on to the title, partially because what I was mentioning to you before about the SummerSlam poster. Were you able to pull that up? Well, looky. Who's there that hasn't been on TV since WrestleMania?
Yep.
Sasha Banks. Now, to me, that's kind of making it pretty clear, almost an expected, but kind of a spoiler, that she's going to be at SummerSlam. And I am assuming that we're going to see Sasha Banks make her return leading up to SummerSlam to get that WrestleMania rematch against Bianca Belair. So that's what I'm thinking. I don't think that Bayley's going to be taking that belt home anytime soon.
Yeah, it's a possibility. Because again, I don't know if they would want to. They definitely don't want to go down the road of Bayley and Sasha Banks again. That's they've played that card too many times.
Right. I mean, I'm still for it. I always like those two together, but I know what you mean. Like, that's definitely to me, they're Sasha Bayley almost gets a pass from me, much like Kurt Angle and Benoit did back in the day.
Right.
Like, they could be wrestling over a box of candy. I don't care. They were so good in the ring, and I feel the same way for those.
Right.
But still, I know what you mean. I think that the fresher matchup would be the Bayley or the Sasha Banks versus Bianca again.
Yeah, hopefully, that's what's going to be there. But that's going to be one of those time will tell moments.
Now, another fresh thing they've been doing on SmackDown lately has been the Shinsuke Nakamura versus King Corbin. The feud itself hasn't been fresh, but the introduction of guitarist Rick Boogs into the thing, it's funny because I didn't understand the initial pairing because it's almost like they threw a dart at the wall and said, all right, who do we got on the roster? They put Shinsuke Nakamura, Rick Boogs, okay, because there was no lead up to it. But the whole storyline with it has been executed very well, mostly because I think the guys involved have been really just digging into it. Rick Boogs coming out and introducing, Shinsuke Nakamura is the king of strong style, which is one of his monikers, which actually matches when he's fighting over the crown. It makes sense now. But doing the big, rock and roll promo to get him hyped up, then playing his theme song, accompanying it with that electric guitar. We talked about it last week, but I am digging this and I'm really enjoying this. Lord Cash, thoughts?
I too am enjoying it. Maybe not as much as you are. It's adding a new, fresh element to it by bringing in the guitar player. Is it Boobs or Boogs? Is it G's or B's?
It'd be amazing if it was B's, but it is G.
Okay, so Boogs.
Boogie.
Yes. So they've done it instead of kind of stealing the title, they're stealing the crown. So I'll always kind of like that where, you've got something that I want and I'm going to take it and kind of like type of scenario. So I've always kind of enjoyed that aspect to the whole thing. So I like it. Where it goes from here, that's a whole nother story, and whether or not they're going to make it entertaining. Because that's the bottom line. Yes, they can do stuff in the ring, but that's only going to be a snapshot of the entire experience.
No, I agree. I think the in-ring stuff's actually been the most underwhelming part, simply because they had Baron Corbin pin Shinsuke Nakamura clean, and then they had the good guy, Shinsuke Nakamura, steal the item back that he never really should have had. So I think the booking is backwards, but it's just the players, I think, that are okay. Quite honestly, I'm hoping it serves a purpose to give Shinsuke that crown, just to kind of add a little dimension to his character and let Baron Corbin go back to being Baron Corbin, perhaps. He's definitely rocked he's done well with the King gimmick, but at some point he's going to probably evolve back to his old gimmick. Another match that happened on SmackDown was for the Intercontinental Championship, and I was actually pretty surprised by the finish, because going into this match with Kevin Owens and Apollo Crews, he was not allowed to have General Aziz at ringside. So I'm like, well, as has been the case with Kevin Owens, is where do you go with him? Does he win or does he lose? Because he's always stuck in limbo, I think, no matter what feud he's in. Surprisingly, Apollo Crews beats him, and he beats him with the Death Valley Driver on the ring apron, which I thought was brilliant, showing off Kevin Owens' rib injuries that he had prior to the match. There's that finish right there. What were your thoughts on the match itself before we get into the aftermath?
Yeah, just because the whole beforehand, he gets attacked by Aziz, so therefore he's wounded coming to the ring. He's all beat up and knocked up. So right off the bat, it's not a fair fight. So it's just kind of it's building up towards a match, potentially. Maybe I don't know. I may be jumping the gun here a little bit, but because you've got that outside interference, it may be leading towards a Hell in a Cell or some sort of other stipulation where that he can't have any contact with Kevin Owens, so that way there's going to be that title match at Hell in a Cell.
Very well possible, because like in the match itself, it was clean.
Yeah,
for all intents and purposes, but he came in injured. I was going to say that myself, because when we watch the show, I'm pretty sure I could speak for both of us in the sense of like, I'm thinking of our show as I go into these. I'm thinking like, okay, what are we going to talk about? What's our predictions? And I was thinking exactly what you're thinking, and then all of a sudden, at the very end of the match, we have an old friend come out. Sami Zayn just sticks his nose in and just Why?
By chance, and I do this every now and then, but talking smack. If you are not watching the post shows for both Raw Talk or SmackDown Talking Smack, I definitely encourage you guys to do that. It's over on Peacock. It's 25-30 minutes tops. And usually they hit like the top 3-4 events. So if it's a tag team, they'll have both of the players out. But Kevin Owens was out there, and Paul Heyman was like, "Are you mad?" And he's like, "No, I'm kind of really I'm not, because I've done all this. Everything that has been happening to me, I've done to people in the past. So for me to be mad and frustrated at this, I would be a big hypocrite."
Okay.
So like he acknowledges what Apollo Crews is doing, as well as Sami Zayn and all these other people that have been going at him and attacking him. It is exactly what's done to other people.
I like
and
that.
so
It gives like a real character trait, because sometimes in these matches, the wrestlers are designed and booked to act like nothing ever occurred a month prior.
Yeah. And then one of the things that they go into is the whole going on the road. He's like, right now, after it's all said and done, I clock out for the day. I go home to my wife. I go home to my kids.
Right.
That washes everything out. Whereas, in a month or two, it's not going to be that way. That's when Sami Zayn, Aziz, Apollo Crews, this is when they need to start watching their back, because at that point in time, I'm not going to be able to go to my wife and kids. They're not going to be able to wipe the slate clean and,
Yeah, I like that.
I'm going to be angry. And
no, that's I keep meaning to watch Talking Smack, and obviously there's, it just depends on like how much time I have to watch the main shows sometimes too, So, but I do think it's important, like you said, like to kind of watch those aspects. I want to watch main event as well, because it'll help me know, like, oh, that's where they've been. Because we do see on Raw later, we do see a couple wrestlers that we hadn't seen in a while show up on Raw lately. So it's kind of surprising to see them too. Now the on the actual show itself on Friday, we did have like the long running thread, so to speak, that was going on, and that was the Mysterios defending their tag team titles against the Usos. This match had been announced in the prior week that they were going to be getting the number one contendership match, and it started. I don't know. Is it loading on your end or no?
No, it's frozen on mine. I'm still my image is still imaging, talking about Kevin Owens. Okay. I think I froze something on my side.
It might be on my side too. Internet is awesome. But either way, while we're while that's loading, we can discuss it in general. But basically, Roman Reigns, as we've talked about in the past, is not super thrilled about having to share his time with the returning cousin of Jimmy Uso, because he's pretty much had main event Jey Uso as his right-hand man for the better part of 6 months. And now, that Jimmy is back, he wants to push his brother and him to become 7-time tag team champions. So again, there's a little bit of jealousy.
I think if you're hearing me or whatever, that's definitely something on my end, because I'm trying to do something in the back end, and I've went ahead and stopped it.
It's all good. So they start the night,
so and catching up here.
Okay, and Roman is basically threatening Jimmy. That's basically saying, all right, you go for those tag titles, but you better. You called your shot. You better go after him. I gotta say, we've talked a great deal about the interactions between Roman and Paul Heyman and the Usos in general. I just love how timid and respectful the Paul Heyman character comes across. For Roman Reigns as a big difference compared to how he was with Brock Lesnar as being his big blowhard. He's just like, so like, he I think kowtow is the phrase for it. He bows down to Roman Reigns whenever they come out. But onto the match itself. It was a really good match. Solid, good 20 minutes or so. Ultimately, though, leads to a cheap victory. Okay, I got to say, that shot right there, I could not help but to go back and think about the eye for an eye match last year.
I can see how that would be.
Yeah, as soon as it happened on Friday, I'm like, oh man, it's a real eye. But basically it ended up being I think Dominic gets the roll up, but the Jimmy Uso's shoulder was clearly up, but the referee misses it. Causes a big, to do. It makes the finish. It makes the storyline that much more interesting, because right there you see this, the shoulders up, because the Usos did not lose, and that adds that drama to they have something to say, and Roman, it's like it feels like everybody is correct and everybody's wrong, and I love that in the storytelling. So ultimately, Roman Reigns gives them the ultimatum, like, okay, if you can make this right, if you can get a rematch later in the night, make it happen. So now going into this, I don't know about you. What were your thoughts at this point in the middle of the show? How did you think that SmackDown would end?
I kind of thought that they were going to take the belts.
Ditto. I'm like, well, clearly they're going to get those belts back. Well, Spoiler alert, they don't. Because later that night,
yeah, so they had a rematch, and like I said, I thought they were going to come out and just kind of lay waste to them, just because they were just so angry, so mad, so determined to make Roman happy.
Yeah.
And it just didn't quite pan out that way, and that's not to any fault of the Usos, I don't think.
No, because it did look like they're going to get hit by the frog splash from Dominic, but Roman's like, nope, not going to happen on my watch. So he kind of came in to save the Usos, but really he just wanted to save his own,
legacy.
Yeah. So Roman comes out and just destroys Dominic. Really just making an example out of him.
Yeah,
I was expecting Jimmy to actually stop him, particularly. I mean, he said to stop. I thought he was going to get physically involved in it, but he didn't. But Jay, once again, is kind of stuck in the middle, and he's got the confliction of, do I go with my brother or do I go with my cousin? Because he goes to join Jimmy on the ramp, and Roman just kind of steps in front of him. Again, continuing to build that slow drama in the family. We still don't know what's going to happen with the Usos going to Hell in a Cell, but I do think we have a better picture as to what's in store for Roman at Hell in a Cell.
And that is what?
It does seem, at least to me, that they're going in the direction of Rey Mysterio going up against Roman Reigns. I mean, he's going to want some kind of, he's going to want some kind of revenge. He beat the snot out of his boy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe there's a 6-man at Hell in a Cell. That's a possibility as well. With Rey Mysterio, we'll have to get somebody else, to be with him and Dominic.
But get Buddy never mind.
Yeah, a little too late there. It would make sense if they had planned this 2 weeks ago.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that was SmackDown. I mean, I think I feel like I'm repeating myself every week, but great show.
Yeah. I feel definitely for the 90 minutes that you get of program, it's solid.
Yeah.
I know that with Raw, you kind of get a little bit of stuff not there based on, if you watch the live show or not. So, which I just go to a 2-hour program on Hulu. Just give us that. Because after, in just a moment, when we start talking about Raw, we're going to do the cutting room floor again.
Yeah.
There's someone who has been on the cutting room floor for the past 3-4 weeks, and they shouldn't be.
Yeah, I'm actually curious to see who that is, because I watched the actual broadcast version.
Here's the thing. This is one of those first times that I actually, because as I was working Monday night, I actually had the show on, and I was like, that's going to be on the cutting room floor. That's going to be on the cutting room floor. And that's going to be on the cutting room. And sure enough, I went through and I scrubbed through the Hulu version, and I'm like, no, that's not even there. Not even there. So, if you took 5 seconds, you can call the 4 matches that didn't make it.
I would imagine, yeah. As we go through it, I think I'll be able to call it. Now, another thing we're going to call is the way I see it. I'm going to have to come up with some kind of jazzy. Oh.
I gotta say, that's actually what broke the stream a while ago, because I was actually trying to export something to try to have it ready in time.
Gotcha.
So I'll show it to you either off air or tomorrow, whenever I actually am able to get it exported. But it's gonna look cool.
Sounds good. Yes. So as almost like talking about Raw in reverse, just in general, the show is going to end with a pretty unpopular segment with Shayna Baszler, one of the toughest women in MMA and professional wrestling, a woman that cleaned house in an elimination chamber match 3 years ago, where she blanked everybody, running away from
3 years ago. Really?
Yeah.
Has it been that long?
Well, 2020 didn't count. That was a year ago, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, 2019.
Yeah. So either way, she bit like Becky Lynch, drew blood, and all this nonsense, and now
Yeah.
she's running from a puppet on a playground.
It's a doll.
Yeah. But there's got to be a reason for this, right? So I'm thinking about Lily, and come on, WWE. Show me that you're being extra special and intelligent, and there's got to be a reason for Lily, right?
One
Because
would think.
after WrestleMania, when Alexa Bliss jumped into a vat full of tar and forgot to get the Dove soap, to kind of scrub it off like those old PSAs for pollution. I don't know. My mind's just going all over that place for that. Anyway, she introduced a puppet named Lily, or a doll. Why? Well, I'm kind of thinking about this, right? It got my attention, especially when it hit the internet. Like, the internet pretty much broke with all these people like laughing at how ridiculous this situation was. So this segment involved Shayna Baszler not really apologizing to Lily, stomping on the doll, and then all of a sudden, all the Thunderdome screens started flickering out, and then the Kane Pyro went bananas, which has been doing a lot lately, right? Shayna Baszler, what's that?
I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, then Shayna goes walking through the backstage area. What happens? The lighting trusses fall down, almost hitting her. She goes into a room, locks herself in a room. She sees Lily on a mirror, and she breaks the mirror. Well, guess what? As we know, and Lord Cash, you got this information for us too, the WWE is returning to live events with a 24-city tour, which is going to make a certain something obsolete. And that certain something is the Thunderdome. What are they going to do with the Thunderdome, you may ask?
What are they going to do with the Thunderdome?
Well, if you remember, the Thunderdome, Lord Cash, was birthed with a wrestling angle when the ill-fated tag team, or this group of Retribution, destroyed the Performance Center, which created the need for the Thunderdome. Well, my thought is, what if, I jumped ahead, what if Lily is being used as partial to eliminate the Thunderdome? Now, I don't think it's the grand plan here, but in 2-3 weeks, they're not going to need that place anymore. So maybe the Lily character, the puppet, will destroy everything, and that'll be like the ultimate elimination for the Thunderdome. What are your thoughts on that particular theory?
I don't know. That's an interesting thought. Definitely, definitely thinking outside the box. If they, I'm trying to think how are they going to think that in storyline. But they've already announced that they're going on the road, that things are getting better. That I don't necessarily think that they're going to do that. I'm almost wondering if Lily is a manifestation, has a spirit inside her, and they're going to, basically, pour water on Lily, and poof, an actual person's going to appear, and you actually get an actual wrestler whose name is Lily.
Well, that might tie into other theories that I've been thinking about. One, you've got Sister Abigail, which has been a character that's been hinted at for years.
Right.
And we've seen both Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt dress up as Sister Abigail. And different stories, but never been actually confirmed. Because when they had the Swamp Brawl, Alexa Bliss was dressed as Sister Abigail in order to get in the head of Braun Strowman.
Right.
And Bray Wyatt, before he got sick a couple years back when he was feuding with the Demon Finn Balor, he was dressing up as Sister Abigail in backstage segments. So there could be something with that. And I don't know. This other one, way out there. But there has to be a reason why Eva Marie is coming back. There just has to. Why would they hire her back when they got rid of all these other people? And she has pink hair with strands of orange and everything else in it, and not her traditional red. I don't think her teeth are as messed up as Lily's, but I don't know. She could be the pour some water poof character of Lily.
The evolution from the doll.
Yeah.
Nah.
I know.
I again, stranger things have happened. Wrestling is no stranger to weird things. I will give you, you say, what are you doing with this doll? I give you Exhibit A.
Yeah.
It's they've gone down this road before in some format. So,
Right.
I honestly, I
If any of those actually happen, I expect you to eat your own shoe because I don't think any of these are happening. But I'm just like I normally do. I try to quote some really obscure things, and I'm like, huh, what could have happened?
yeah.
And yeah, I doubt any of that's going to happen. But try to make it interesting.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. It's definitely, thinking outside of the box as you will. So let's see what happens.
Now, as people start going out of their house more, out of their box, and going into the big WWE box, I'm
Yes.
trying to make a transition here for your where are they going, Lord Cash, and their 26 city tour?
So this is no, I have not the sleuth or whatever. I literally have gone to WWE.com and clicked on tickets. That's literally all I've done. I have just taken and put them in a nice little format of these are the cities that are going to be in SmackDown. These are the cities that are going to have Raw. And then in the middle, those are going to be your house shows where they are dubbing them as the super shows.
Oh,
and then, of course, you've got two pay-per-views. One of them, SummerSlam, is actually not listed on their ticket sheet. But again, they've made the announcement. We know when it's going to be. So basically, that's your kind of your format. I feel sorry for people who aren't in Florida because out of these 26 cities, we've got 6 appearances.
Oh, wow.
So we've got Tampa and Jacksonville for SmackDown. We've got Orlando and Miami for Raw. And then you've got 2 house shows, Fort Myers and Gainesville, showing up for the Super Show. So I'm like, that's cool. I'm hoping to be able to go for at least one of them.
And you don't see any Northeast representation other than a house show in Pennsylvania. There's no New York, no New Jersey, no Massachusetts. So yeah, they're moving slow. I think it's probably, honestly, Lord Cash, a lot has to do with just how quickly some of these states opened up.
Yeah.
I mean, Florida opened up a year ago. Go ahead.
Just go ahead and do this.
Yeah, go kiss your neighbor.
So, but like I said, none of that is groundbreaking stuff. They just may not have announced it, but those are all on the list of stuff to see. Now, one thing I do want to point out as of those listings, and that is the last pay-per-view that they've just announced, and that is SummerSlam. This one is going to be really interesting because with this, they're going to be at the Raiders Stadium.
Yeah,
so it's going to be the first event
there.
What's that?
It's the first event at that stadium.
Yeah, but it's the first time they've actually been in an NFL stadium. Is what they're saying.
What, the WWE?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, WrestleMania was in the Tampa Bay Bucs Stadium.
Look, man, I'm just going off of what they are advertising. Maybe I just read it wrong. I'm trying to find.
I think what it is, Lord Cash, is
the first in their stadium.
Yes, because this is the debut of Allegiant Stadium. It got built, and it has nothing's happened in that stadium yet, so it's the first event.
Gotcha. But do you notice anything weird about the slide that is currently being shown? It is on Saturday night, not Sunday.
Oh, I bet you know what it is? They're and at that time of August, they have preseason NFL football games.
Quite possibly. But yeah, that's one thing. But I'm like, why would you have it there then? Obviously you want to have it in a big stadium and things of the nature to promote it. But I just find that I was looking at it, I'm like, wait a minute, all these things I'm seeing they're saying Saturday, not Sunday.
They're just trying to be able to say that they're the first event. They did this in the United Center in Chicago SummerSlam 1994. Very similar. They had the very first event at the Chicago Bulls Stadium back in '94 too, and it was actually SummerSlam. So I think it's all it is a PR move for the company. So first big event in that venue and in Vegas, quite honestly.
That is pretty awesome.
Now, as we go to Raw, right? There's a lot of things that actually happen on Raw. Some of it not so bad. But what was left? What were these 5 matches that were left on the cutting room floor?
So the matches, there was 4 of them. And like I said, if you watched Raw, you probably guess. So the first one was the Elias and Jackson Riker match.
You would have missed the haircut.
Yeah, he got a new do. They haven't updated his profile pic on WWE.com, so I still got the old one.
Right, I don't think they will. I'm expecting he's going to be gone next, but maybe not.
Okay, so little pause here. WWE today announced that SummerSlam will take place from the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas on Saturday, August 21st, making the first time the annual event has been held at an NFL stadium. So I think it's the first time that SummerSlam has been at an NFL stadium. Is where my brain, I read and I'm like, oh, the first time.
Yeah, because, I mean, other than, the only other time I could think of that it was at an outdoor stadium of any type would have been Wembley back in 92, which was debatably a football stadium.
Right. Well, isn't when it was in Dallas, it was at the Cowboys.
But that was for WrestleMania.
Right. But I'm just saying that's why WWE events have been held in NFL arenas, just not SummerSlam.
Right. SummerSlams are typically held in NBA arenas.
Yeah. So that's why I got confused.
No, but it's a good point to make though.
Yeah.
Now, this particular match was fast forwarded last week when this team of Jackson Riker and Elias just imploded for really no reason. I mean, they had a match with the tag titles on the line, and before they could even win them or lose them, Elias just says, I'm out, and he leaves. So, once again, they play that same story where they, Jackson Riker's looking pretty good in the match, dominating him, and Elias just leaves. He takes the powder. He walks away, making this continue for the next little while. It's funny. I saw somebody online say this. Look carefully at his face. He looks like a roided up Zack Ryder. If you see him now because he has a beard, Matt Cardona played Zack Ryder. I could see that he might be his brother, but he's not. I don't know. Once somebody said it, I was like, yeah, I could see it.
I could see something there, but I don't know if I'm seeing Zack Ryder.
Right.
So, but yeah, he Jackson does win by a count out. So that was one of the matches. The next one was the Ricochet versus Humberto. So, and this is one of the things where Sheamus, he is the United States champion. Why is he not being featured on the Hulu version of Raw?
I don't think this is the first time though. Haven't a bunch of his U.S. title defenses over the last 2 months been on Hulu?
That's what I'm saying is, why do you have a title holder for, again, a various time frame? The whole open challenge that he's been having with these two guys has been stricken from the Hulu record.
Yeah, I don't understand it either, but because I don't think that we've seen Humberto or Ricochet or Sheamus on Hulu since WrestleMania.
That's why we'll get to this in a little bit. The first match, the kind of 5-6 tag match, they were like AJ and Omos come out and they're like, Viking Raiders, hey, welcome to the program, because they haven't been seen on actual broadcast TV, or at least the Hulu version, in months, but they've been back and around fighting and doing stuff, but no one has seen them.
No, exactly. It's an odd choice. I mean, I always wonder like what goes through the head and like why they eliminate certain things and why not. I mean, the match itself was okay. I mean, it was kind of uneventful. It just went to make both guys. I thought that they were going to make it a triple threat without even having to go to have a draw of a match.
Right.
They're going to. Hell in the Cell is going to be a 3-way.
Providing his face is okay.
That's true. He definitely looks pretty rough.
Because like the move that he got, like he got slammed pretty good.
Yeah, Sheamus has had one heck of a year as far as injuries and just general pain.
Yeah. So the next match that didn't get featured was the Cedric Alexander versus Jeff Hardy.
100% was predicting that one because Jeff has not been on regular Raw TV in a long time. Well, he lost to Jinder Mahal like maybe 2 weeks ago, but other than that,
yeah.
I don't understand though. Cedric goes over in his feud with Shelton Benjamin by hook or by crook. His next match, he loses to Jeff Hardy, who has not had a featured victory since last SummerSlam. What is going on?
I don't know if it's that try to humble the up and comer by the veteran, just to kind of know your place type of a scenario. But yeah,
do that then.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel that the writers are slowly coming back from their WrestleMania vacation. And that's why Raw is a little bit getting better. They had enough things planned out for SmackDown that they can be like, okay, we're gonna go away. You've got storylines for 2 months. We'll be back. Peace out. Raw was like, you guys got this, right? You can do this whenever the interns got it, right?
Right. Oh man. I hope that there's something positive coming. I mean, you're right. This Raw was not as painful as last week. I mean, last week was just like I had a hard time getting through Raw last week.
And I think like was okay. The whole middle section was on the cutting room floor. Yeah. It felt like last time. Like literally you had like your first 1 or 2 matches, there was the blop in the middle, and then you had like 1 or 2 matches at the end. It was like that was your Raw. It was ridiculous.
Did the women's tag match also get put on the cutting room floor?
It did not. So you had the Drew Gulak versus Mansoor.
How did I not predict this one?
So, and again, it wasn't a bad match.
Now, the one good thing about this that unfortunately is being forgotten is that there was actually some character development possibly for 2 people in the company. We have not seen Mustafa Ali in months.
Yep.
He actually pulled Mansoor aside before the match and basically gave him a little bit of advice about maybe not always playing by the rules.
Right.
And that did play into this match where Mansoor did win, and it was by pulling the tights. To be fair, he was reversing Drew Gulak, who was also trying to pull the tights. But that showed a little bit of a character development for Mansoor has barely been in the company, so you almost can't say much for him. But it does work for Mustafa Ali to maybe they'll make them a tag team.
It would be interesting if they do and do that. But yeah, it's just I'm trying to. I mean, just if you're putting so much time into these matches, why not just go to Hulu? What is the extra 30 minutes going to do to you? Like, I don't
think they're putting the effort into these matches.
Huh?
I don't think they are putting the effort into these matches.
Well, they're at least putting some effort into it.
Right. I'm just thinking about this now. I am so happy that Damian Priest was not on Raw. And here's the reason why. Because that made it so we didn't have to see him fight Miz or John Morrison.
Well, and that's
anybody else apparently.
Miz is out, so of course he can't. And we later see when we talk about the next match that John Morrison gets kind of shoehorned into the tag match, even though he doesn't have his partner.
Yeah, that was weird because it was just like the Lucha House Party Grand Metalik, I believe, was also injured.
Yeah.
So you had that. This shows you how shallow their tag team division is. That they're just like, oh crap, we need to have tag teams in there. So just go out there by yourself. We'll just pretend that you're the tag team.
Right. Well, again, it's just a future tag opportunity.
Right.
Doesn't mean that you're going to be fighting that night. They've got shirts.
Yeah.
Lord
Cash, if these had come out like 2 weeks prior, you'd be wearing it right now.
Oh my gosh, I seriously need to get one. The
shirt, the hat, and the hoodie.
Yeah. This tag team, I absolutely like. I'm loving them so much more every time. I am laughing out. Okay, this was funny. The slow motion down the stairs.
Yes.
On the ramp was great. Riddle and Orton are just, their chemistry and their personalities, I just call it the yin and yang, because they're just so opposite in characteristics that they mesh together so stinking beautifully well. I am laughing out loud at the humor that Riddle is bringing to it. The not intending to be humorous things that Randy are doing. Like literally, give me the key, give me the key, and then just putting it in his boot, dropping it in the trash can. Just everything that they're doing with that is like, for me, like, this match was great, and the Viking Raiders did win their opportunity for a future title match. But for me, that wasn't the stealing moment. It was Randy Orton and Riddle and what they did. Because in the match, Riddle comes back in after being eliminated and takes the hit, so that way Randy can eliminate, I believe it was Kofi.
Yep.
So I'm like, they're doing stuff. And the end of the match kind of that kind of made me so angry. Like, it made me so not angry, but like just so disheartened, because you had Kofi, you had Riddle having a match together. Xavier was out for Kofi, and Randy was like, I don't know, we'll see how things play out. But halfway during the match, Randy comes out. He's got his, the hoodie as mentioned. But Riddle tries to, show off and be a little, I got this. I'm gonna emulate your moves, the vintage Orton. And he does this. He's like, hold on.
I liked how Orton was just kind of like, all right, I like it. But then he does a little too much here.
Yeah. So I don't think that this is by any means the end of RKO, RK Bro. But Randy's going to have to take him and be like, look, you've got to strike when it's time. You don't necessarily, you can't go out there and be, showboat and flash out there. So I absolutely, this is one of my favorite. I have not been this giddy about a tag team in the longest time. I swear Edge and Mysterio were probably like the last ones I was this giddy about, maybe.
I like Goldust and Booker T. They were a pretty good oddball team.
But these guys are just, Randy Orton is just fantastic. Riddle is comedic gold right now. And just everything. Like, all you gotta do is just zip it and lock it and just throw away the key. Come on, AJ, you can do this. And I'm supposed to do this right now.
Yeah. No, you've been an RK Bro from day one, and you're early adopter, and I came on very shortly after because you convinced me. I'm really curious as to why he's talking about Burger King now.
It's a sponsor for one of the matches, or
for Hell in a Cell. Is it?
Yeah.
For Hell in a Cell?
It might very well be. Like, where's all my?
Because I was like wondering. He starts talking about like, Randy, like, can we go to get like a Whopper? Like, I could really use a Whopper right now. And I'm like, what?
But again, it's brilliant, and everything that they're doing with that.
No, funny. I was just kind of like, I've never seen something so blatant if they weren't a sponsor. That's why I didn't know. I was like, why is he talking about Whoppers?
Yeah. I think I know I was reading someplace the whole the whole Burger King angle. I swear it is it's a sponsor. May not be like a direct sponsor, but yeah.
If not now, it will be.
Exactly.
Now, another segment we did see was, Lashley versus not versus, but McIntyre for a contract signing. Now, I gotta say, obviously, McIntyre is a professional wrestler, but I can't imagine going anywhere to sign a contract or anything as business related and wearing a kilt with no shirt. I found it a little odd because, you got the
and carrying a sword to the ring.
Yeah, that too. Everybody else is dressed appropriately, and he's just like basically wearing his gym shorts.
But again, that's a Scottish suit right there, man.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. So he comes out, and I saw he's got the sword. I'm like, why the hell is it the sword? This is why he has the sword.
Yep.
He sticks it in the hole at the top of the ramp to set off his pyro, and he pulls it out again. I'm like, this is so ridiculous. I could be wrong, but has he done this before? That you remember slicing a table? I don't know why. I just thought he did, but
no, I don't recall that.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, obviously it was very distinctive as far as him doing it. The big takeaway from this is that, according to the stipulation, McIntyre can no longer compete for the WWE Universal or WWE Championship as long as Lashley holds it. If Lashley retains at Hell in a Cell. And we'll make our predictions about that match as we get closer to the pay-per-view in about a week and a half. But it definitely provided a pretty memorable moment, for the show, just having the slice of the table with the sword. A little ludicrous to me, but now, yeah. So, to be fair, this wasn't as bad as last week's thing with how they've been portraying Nikki Cross. Now she's the tag team with Asuka, apparently.
I really like Nikki Cross.
I don't mind her either. I just liked her more when she was crazy, not smiling super cheese girl next door. I just think it's very odd.
I think with the angle that they had with Alexa Bliss, I really liked her there. I thought she is a great in-ring, competitor. She has that energy, she's one would say a female Mojo Rawley, where just pull the string and go.
I'm sorry, Nikki Cross, you've been doomed. I know what you're saying though. I do agree with the comparison. I've never thought of that actually, but
she's just got all that energy and just runs around, and this and that, and beating her chest. But I really, really honestly would love to see a push for Nikki Cross. I would love to see her win the women's belt. I feel like she could hold it and do well, portraying the women's division on either brand, whether Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah, and we could definitely use some, another fresh contender. Were you familiar with her work in NXT as part of the group Sanity?
Very, very little. I think when they came over a little bit to the WWE. I think it was mostly Raw, I think.
Yeah, they didn't do much, but yeah, they came over briefly. Nikki Cross had a lot of that energy over in NXT. She also had a craziness to her. She was just really off the rails.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just kind of biased towards that gimmick. I really enjoyed it. It's hard for me to connect with the literally just like as absurd as she is, the smiling, especially because there's video screens. It comes across as really forced and fake to me. But you always have those characters in wrestling, so that's fine. Yeah. But in the ring, oh, absolutely. And she's gotten herself in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I was thinking that she lost some weight and toned up a lot, and she looks
Yeah.
really, really good.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that they're definitely pushing her. That's
Yeah.
the reality.
So yeah, I do hope that. 'Cause I think technically her win last week didn't that give her number one contender, whoever won between Charlotte and Rhea Ripley.
I believe so. Yeah.
So I truly hope that they remember that and that they honor that and they do it well.
I could see Charlotte winning at Hell in a Cell and then like immediately losing it to like Nikki Cross.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
see that.
Ooh, do you think she can win? Nikki would be Money in the Bank winner?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that would be amazing.
I think I wouldn't have thought about it, but as to anybody else who could be, yeah, I think Nikki Cross would fit the bill for sure.
That's going to be amazing. Because again, typically, whoever gets the Money in the Bank, typically 9 times out of 10 ends up winning the belt. And I really, really, honestly do want to see her with the belt.
And I don't think that you're alone in that. I think the fans would be very happy for Nikki Cross.
Yeah, I'm like, I know there's been a lot of like social media outpour with her wins over Rhea and Charlotte the last 2 weeks. So I would just right now, Nikki Cross and RK Bro are my 2 people that I'm like rooting for the hardest right now.
Yeah, and I could see it because those are like the fresh acts. As far as RK Bro is totally fresh.
Yeah.
And Orton hasn't been in a tag team in years, and Riddle's is new to the roster. And Nikki Cross is pretty much new again too because she was almost not involved in the pandemic at all that I can remember.
Yeah, because she right after her and the whole Alexa Bliss, she kind of went to main event and just kind of camped out there for a while.
Right.
And then just slowly over the last like month or two has been kind of weaseling her way back into the limelight.
Right.
So like I said, that would be if I could ask for one thing from the wrestling genie, those are I want to see the belts on RK Bro and I want to see Nikki Cross with a strap.
Yeah, I think those are some pretty yeah. I would agree with those. You know what I mean? Like we should do that. Like we should make a wish list one day. Just kind of like think of what were like our big wish not to happen and wish to happen,
and see which one comes first. The soonest.
Right now, we already first talked about this earlier, but the whole Shayna Baszler thing's going towards she's feuding with Alexa Bliss, and this has been kind of coming out for part of a month and a half. Like initially, we thought it might be that Alexa was going after Reginald, but now it's becoming clearer and clearer that all his attacks have been really directed towards Shayna Baszler for whatever reason. I'm hoping they have a really solid storyline that actually explains this, and not just we have nothing for you, Shayna Baszler, or otherwise.
Right.
What are your like real thoughts as far as like how this has been going? Are you enjoying this overall? You know what I mean? Like what are your thoughts on it?
I've been a fan of Alexa Bliss, regardless of what role she's been in. Definitely this route that she's gone, definitely a little bit darker, a little bit more twisted. And I'm not sure 100% where I stand on the fence. But at least it is I'd say it's something different. Not necessarily new, but definitely something different from her wheelhouse, at least. That I think without having Bray there, it's kind of it's falling maybe just a little flat, and that's why they've given her the Lily character. To at least try to explain a little bit of Bray Wyatt was the supernatural with the Fiend. Well, now we've got the supernatural coming from this doll that's possessed, right, or whatever the case may be. So I'm willing to go the distance to find out exactly what they're doing with both Alexa and the and Lily.
Right.
I'm at least willing to go along for the car ride.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I say I'm in the same boat. I think we talked about it last week where I'm only getting itchy because it's been such a long time.
Yeah.
That there's been nothing. Like,
yeah, basically, this has been building since WrestleMania, right?
Well,
At least her by herself.
Yeah, because even before that, we still never really knew why Bray pinpointed her.
Like, had that hold on her.
Yeah, but like why did she ever get involved with this? I mean, I was hoping to have some kind of
logistically, the only thing like if you actually look at it from a fan's basis, Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss were mixed tag team partners.
Yeah, the team Little Big or whatever. Yeah.
Bray was going against Braun. Bray needed something to get into Braun's head, so they used Alexa Bliss to be the Sister Abigail character on the boat or on the wherever they were on the dock or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And they just kind of took that and just like, hey, let's make that a full-time thing.
Right, and that was fine. You're right. I don't know why I forgot about that. I think I even mentioned it earlier in my thought.
You did.
But yeah, I just want to see like some like real development though to kind of like say, get her back in the ring.
And that's the other thing is like she's an excellent competitor inside the ring. That why is she not wrestling? She has had like 0 actual matches, because again, I don't really count her and Randy Orton having a match.
Right, or her and Asuka, because that wasn't real.
That was the theatrical match. But even then, that's like I'll give you a half a point if you want to get technical.
Right, that division is so shorthanded right now.
So the payoff has to be really good, or in 5-10 years, this is going to be on those top 10s of worst storylines WWE did in the 2020s.
Yeah, agreed.
So the payoff got to be big and got to
right. Well, what is big is our lineup.
I know. It's like we've got something every single night.
It's crazy. So, Lord Cash, let's talk about what we have. Now, tomorrow is going to be our game room show. And I know you and I were talking about some different ideas. And I'm thinking, unless you have an idea, maybe tomorrow we can actually show the Street Fighter the movie on the Sega Saturn that I shared yesterday on our crazy card collecting.
Absolutely, because everything that I've been trying on my end has been failing miserably.
Excellent. At least it is consistent.
It is. I failed with the Switch. I have failed with the PlayStation 3. So the next round of attempts was going to be an Xbox 360.
Well, let us know. I'm going to be so I can only hope that the Sega Saturn is working right now. My 3DO crapped the bed about a month ago, so don't worry. You might get a text midday saying, "All right."
Let's say, if not, I can take my my Avermedia and we can go downstairs and we can do another match of Super Mario Brothers Mario Party.
We could do something like that, but obviously, I know I've got lots of games, so it can even put out there like, give me a number, and I'll just run my fingers along the shelf and be like, all right, Barney's Hide and Speak on Sega Genesis. Do it.
There you go.
So yeah, that's tomorrow. We'll be at the game room. Thursday, we are seeing the debut of Disney Plus's brand new show, Low-Key, the next representative from the MCU.
That's right. Okay. And I for those that may have not seen it, I've already got the thumbnail already created for it. I am in the process of loading it right now, and bam, Loki episode 1. They haven't released the title yet, but they have said that the first episode is going to be 51 minutes long.
Oh my God.
Episode 2 will be 54 minutes long.
They're going big right away.
Well, again, you've got 6 episodes. You've got to go with those almost hour time frames. Sure. So very similar to what the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was. It's going to be that way.
Right. Now, we had a in our world last Friday was pretty challenging. Now I was not sure, Lord Cash, what were we able to do the Funko Royal? Okay, that's cool. So this week we'll be doing the Funko Royalty with some of the rarer and more interesting Funko Pops. Definitely look forward to that one.
Yeah, I've got them all already. I don't mind taking my Funkos out of the box because I can easily put them back in.
Right.
So you're not breaking the seal or anything like that. As long as I'm one to I use a little card to jimmy the top off, so that way I'm not tearing the heads or tails of the box.
Right.
My little trick that I've picked up, and so I don't mind doing that. I've taken them out. I've gotten some out of the box video of them swirling around on my turntable. So. Yeah, I believe, a little spoiler here, my top 5, unless those prices have changed, 5 of them are overvalued, according to the Pop Price Guide, over $2,500.
Not bad at all.
No, and probably I spent out of for those probably about a little over $100.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good of return on investment.
So, there was a I don't know if you're familiar with the show Blackish.
Yes.
So there was an episode a couple weeks ago that Junior, the older son, was at his girlfriend's place. They were talking about, I never thought I would be with someone who did this, who did that, or whatever. And the girlfriend goes, I never thought I would be with someone who had, an adult with toys. And then, they argue back and forth. And he's like, oh, by the way, they're called Funkos. And you'll be thanking me when we go to our retirement.
There you go. Yeah.
The fact that my value is roughly around $66,000. And so again, I have a problem. I know you don't have to write it in. I know I have a problem. I can visibly see my problem.
Same thing.
So, but again, if and when the trend falls off, I can try to unload these things. If I get half price, I'm still doing pretty good.
Yeah, you're still up, right? So yeah, so we got a bunch of shows. Obviously, Mail Call, Mail Time, Crawl the Wild, and Crazy Card Collecting will round out our schedule. But remember, if you just need a fix of Lord Cash, Bitter Ritz, and myself, you can always get it. Jump on YouTube. We have over 150 different shows on our YouTube page. You can also share and subscribe or ring the bell. Get notifications all those different ways, because you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, or on Twitch. Lots of different ways to get your fix of the New York Nerd Show, and a lot of ways that you could share and spread the word of the nerd. But we've been spreading the word of the nerd for quite a while tonight, Lord Cash, and I think that I am just about ready to go.
I say, there's all our stuff. Take a gander at it.
Breathe it in. Breathe it in.
Breathe it in and spread the word of the nerd.
It's better to breathe in that and spread that now than what we've been breathing in and spreading for the last 13 months.
Very true. Very true.
Too soon. All right. Well, Lord Cash, let's start the car. Let's get out of here.
Let me grab my coat and my hat.
Okay, grab that.
All right.
Later. Thanks for joining us, and adios.
Bye-bye now.